we're gonna try this again, guys. Oh my goodness, happy Tuesday. First of all, hope you guys have had a great day so far. Oh my goodness, I'm discombobulated because I got cut off by IG Live. And it could be operator error, quite possibly, but we are going to try to get Coach Elaina K back on. Do not do this to me, IG. Here we go. Accept.
Hi.
Woo! The universe. Can I just tell you? The universe was probably saying the car is not a good place to do an IG live because your signal may not be that great.
I love it.
Oy vey.
I
don't even know where we got cut off, but if anybody has, hi Shelby, if anybody has missed the beginning part of our IG live, I was giving Miss Coach Elaina K praise because she has been there for me for the last 7 years, not only her friendship, but clarity and purpose whenever I was stuck. Like I was stuck a lot as an entrepreneur. Again, I have to mention, you always have 1,000 things going on and your platter is overflowing. And some days you just get into a funk and you just can't get out of it. And you need that mediator, that neutral person, that person with that intuitive, magical power to kind of get you out of that, that funk. And you have been there for me. So again, thank you so much. And thank you for being a part of She Empowers Presents. It's been a long time coming.
Well, I will, before I was saying, thank you to you. And I even wrote this on my description. I had said, really appreciate kind of like the space that you're creating, I guess, in the world. We need more of these pages. We need more of this content out there. And what a perfect opportunity that what we just had happen to show up for both you and I to be flexible with ourselves, right? And it's not about, it's so perfect, Jess. It's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Your message after I texted you, I'm like, oh my God, yes, patience.
And, it's interesting. Before we even hopped on, I was getting caught up in this, I call it the voice of, really going over my notes. All of this stuff was coming up and I heard calm, be flexible. And I was like, whoa, like I had to be flexible with myself. And maybe the word flexibility for even you right now, I mean, who knows? Maybe someone listening to this about flexibility, I don't know. There's just a lot already that's already happened.
Somebody needs to hear that too.
Right.
We're just also wound up tight. I feel like it's society. It's like, work, it's career, it's children, it's things that we do. We have so much going on that we expect things to go a certain way and we have to be okay when it doesn't,
Yes.
So we pivot, we shift, shifts happen all the time. And so flexibility is a good word of the day.
It is a good
Thanks
word.
for the reminder.
No problem. And it's funny because where we left off is you were asking me, what is your story?
Yeah.
Well, if I did talk about my story, and after you guys hear my story, it is all about flexibility. If I wasn't flexible, and you'll hear it, if I wasn't flexible, I know for a fact I would not be where I'm at right now. I had to learn to become flexible. That life, the expectation that I had of life was never going to be what I was going to, it did not show up the way I thought it was going to show up. So,
or the timeline either.
The timeline. Oh, the timeline.
The timeline. I feel like people think it's too late to get started. It's never too late.
It's not
a lot of people started whatever they wanted to do late in life, and it's still okay. You can still succeed. So yeah, that was a huge one for me. Just thinking I need to do this by the age of 30. I need to do this by the age of 40. I need to have all of this. I need to have these things. I have to have lived this kind of life by a certain age, there's no
Right.
timeline, you know, and it's just a nice reminder to just keep telling yourself that it's okay. It's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah, that's
flexible.
a great, be flexible.
Be flexible. So I know that we kind of left off, but if you can bring that all
Sure.
into a very quick summary.
Yeah.
Again, I am so sorry. I feel like that was a sign to move from IG Live to some kind of a podcast
Yeah.
platform because, you know, I think they cut us. I mean, we can only do, I've never done anything longer than 45 minutes on IG Live, but I feel like with podcasts, you can go a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. You can go longer than 45 minutes, just really quick. But yeah. So nutshell, I was born in Guam. My intuition, I believe, was already there. 5 years old, as early back as 5 years old, I would say I was already feeling a lot of energy. All of that stuff was already kind of arriving for me. Of course, in 5, I don't know it. I just think I'm scared of my closet and the energy there. And then going into my teens, I was just very aware of like just questions and the curiosity. I mean, I grew up Buddhist. I was saying earlier that my mom still to this day chants like multiple times a day, incense going, blessing the food, like talking about energy, reincarnation. That was the norm for me. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
And look at, I'm back here full circle.
Right.
And then really, so I was really drawn to church and learning about like God and saints. And I was like, all of it would play a part. I had no idea. So I kind of went away from that when I was in my early 20s. And I like, was in the military and I was traveling, all these great things. And then I got married and then I had my first kid and boom, boom. My pregnancy was perfect, by the way. Literally, he was born on his due date. My kid is always very structured. But then realizing the milestones were being hit, he wasn't crawling, he wasn't babbling on time. All of these things were happening. I was like, whoa, something's off. And intuitively, I knew it. And sure enough, I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I read every single book, everything. You have no idea. And I would go to my doctor and I was like, something doesn't feel right. And I started to, I know this is TMI, but I started to realize something was wrong with, I would say his digestion is all I'm going to say. And I would bring it forth to my doctor and I was doing research on the symptoms he was having, which would lead me to a thing called leaky gut syndrome. And that led me to autism. This is way back when autism really wasn't being really talked about. And sure enough, he got diagnosed at 2.5. Now, this is the game changer here in this moment. This is where everything changed for me. At 2.5, my life totally transformed. I had 2 kids. My oldest one that got diagnosed. And when he got diagnosed, I was propelled fast. There was no thinking. ABA therapist, OT, speech. I had
you have to.
10, 15 hours a week just for him alone of therapy. Plus I had to, I mean, that's not including, right, his behaviors, dealing with the schools, the IEP, blah, it just kept on going. My life was so intense. My husband's a fireman. He was not home. He had to work. I was very blessed to be able to be home and heal my son and work on that. And so I became very depressed. And yet people thought I was all put together. They thought, oh, her house is still clean. Oh, she's doing all the therapist. Oh, she's so good and she's so involved. All of these things I was trying to project out to the world that I had it together. Mm-hmm. And inside I was crumbling. Trying to keep up, trying to show up, trying for anything I could to help heal. I was pushing. And I hit rock bottom. I hit hardcore rock bottom and nobody really knew it. One day out of nowhere, I had a friend come over and she said to me, have you ever heard of a video of this woman? Her name is Esther Hicks, and she channels this energy called Abraham. And I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? What is, and she's like, just check it out. And I really believe that she was to deliver that to me. Mm-hmm. Because from that moment on, there were other things that happened, but this was the changing moment. I watched the video and I pressed play, and all of a sudden, you know how like you're watching something and you're so connected and the world around you disappears? Yeah. That's what happened. The world disappeared. And I was listening to the channeled messages about love and how we're connected, like all the things that were being said. And I was like, wait, what is happening? My everything in my body started having, like, I was literally having a physical reaction. I just was obsessed, and I was like, I can't wait for everyone to go to bed. I want to, who is this? Like, what is this? I became obsessed. I was watching videos. Things were happening. Things were changing. Things, feelings I've had that I had felt in so long: joy, happiness, purpose, connection, all these things. And it led me one thing to the next thing. And that's kind of what I started saying, there's something bigger happening. And it was during that time that I knew, and I started realizing I had kind of two choices. One was to go down the rabbit hole of burnouts and depression, and I was just in it. Or two, I had to kind of create change. Something had to give. My life wasn't going to change. Nothing around me was going to change. So I had to learn how to pivot. I had to pivot.
We just talked about that, right?
I had to pivot. Right, exactly. We always get these two questions. Do you stay or do you change?
Change.
Do you stay or pivot? You change.
Yep.
Because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? And yet, I mean, it wasn't as clear as that, but it was pretty clear. It was pretty clear. And the videos just kind of helped me. And then one day I was on the internet, and I was just, I don't even know what I was doing. I was scrolling. I think he was having a nap. I don't know what was happening. I was on the internet, and I literally heard, get a reading. Who said that? Get a reading? What? Get a reading from a psychic. I literally typed in psychic, and I don't even know why I picked Concord. This is so weird. I don't even know. I typed in psychic, comma, Concord. I remember exactly what it said. And the first person that popped up became the changing force in my life. And I don't even know why, but
are they still there in Concord? I'm curious.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. Her name's Evan Jordan. Love her. Amazing. Oh my gosh. She changed my life.
Right.
And I clicked on it. I didn't even think twice. I booked the appointment. I walked in her door. I got the reading.
And it was like,
and that was it. But it wasn't the reading. The reading was what got me there. What ended up happening was she said, oh, by the way, I teach channeling classes. And I was like, wait a second, channeling classes? Because that's what I was watching, was channeling videos.
Right.
And so it was too perfect, the way the lineup was happening. So she's like, well, I'm taking one-on-one clients. Are you interested? I was like, sign me up. I'll figure it out. I'll get a babysitter.
Yeah.
I started taking these channeling classes with her, and she was one of the first students of a teacher by the name of Sanaya Roman. And everyone, if anyone knows, there's a book called Opening to Channel. Sanaya Roman, unfortunately, is no longer alive. She passed away. Beautiful energy, beautiful teacher. And Evan was a student of hers, and then therefore taught that whole method and teaching. And I cracked open big, Jasmine. My life changed radically.
Started.
Oh yeah. And I didn't even know it yet. So that is the basis of the story. And there's so much more of what happened, but that really was the basis from there. And at the time, I thought I was going to go into nursing, right? Because I was doing all this medical stuff with my son. So I was like,
right.
And then on the side, spiritual stuff. So I had these two parallel paths: nursing and whatever we would call it, like the spiritual journey. And all this time, I thought I was supposed to be the nurse, but really what it was, the basis, the thread between the two, was healing. I wanted to work with people to help heal.
So in a sense, it's still nursing in a way, being a nurse, because you're healing in a different way now.
Correct. Exactly. And now I look back and I'm like, I could never do nurse. Now I look, I'm like, thank God. I mean, I think I'm a nurse, but
hats off to nurses for sure.
I respect.
A lot of work.
A lot of knowledge, a lot of work, a lot of time, for sure. I highly respect nurses. So yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, from then on, what happened? And did you just immerse yourself in classes, more channeling classes, or did you? I always envisioned, you know, you getting a message from an apparition or something saying you have these gifts.
Yeah.
Use them for good.
Well, interesting enough, I definitely got a lot of messages in my channeling classes, and that in itself, I mean, that could be an entire, FaceTime live, and truly, I mean, or FaceTime Instagram live in itself, that could be a whole topic discussion because there was a lot of work in that.
Got it.
But
Love to hear about it.
I mean, there was a lot of like, what am I doing? The voice again, what are you doing? Oh my God. And the other part was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then like the feeling of like, who do I share it with? I have no one to share this most transformative experience with. I don't even know, like, what do I do with it? I would try to come home and try to explain it to my husband, my friends. Nobody could understand the transformation. They could see I was happening. They could see things were happening. I had so much energy. I didn't even know what to do with it, Jasmine. I didn't know what to do. Things were happening. And it was literally, I was so cracking open. But what ended up happening was, I love Yvonne so much because what she ended up doing was telling me to trust yourself, trust this process. And she didn't push, she just allowed, the state of allowing. And that was one of the most foundation tools that I will forever be thankful for, because I think as a teacher or as a coach, we want to make sure everyone like gets all of it done right. And yet it's important for the student to have pause and time to introspect and to kind of figure themselves out. Does that make sense? So she told me one day, go grab a deck of cards. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, just go to a place. There's a place on Walnut Creek, and I forgot what it was called.
For these, so just regular cards, angel cards, tarot cards. What did she tell you to get?
Go grab a deck. Just grab a deck of cards. I'm like,
just a deck of cards.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. And I went to this place. It's near that zebra tattoo place.
Yeah.
There used to be a spiritual spot right there.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'd go in there, and I'd look, and they had this huge wall of just cards, and she was like, trust yourself. And I would go on there, and I can't remember, I think it was an angel deck I first got. It was something, but she's like, just start playing with them. But what's so interesting, I got 2 decks. And one I know was kind of a possible angel deck, but the other one was a tarot deck.
Okay. You need to tell us what the difference is.
Sure. And I just happen to have cards right here, right? So a tarot deck is, it's 78 cards, and it tells the story of a character of the Fool. That's the character's name. And to me, tarot, when I use tarot, it's very, all tarot decks has the same basis storyline, right? It's the story of the Fool going through being born, going through all the transitions of life, the setbacks, the joy, meeting the high priestess to get the intuition, the magician to get the tools, like all And then you've got life, you got the pentacles, which represents career, all of this, right? You've got the cups, love, emotions. You get where I'm going? The wands, the journey, all the elements are in there. So it's a story that's really more in detail. And then, so I use tarot always in all my readings. The oracle decks, what's so beautiful is that there's so much flexibility to it. They're so versatile. Like, some people can have a 44 card deck, and some can be about love. Some can be about self-care. So I use them what's called as asset cards. They're just like little additional information for me to use on top of my tarot. So that's kind of
I do remember every time we met, it wasn't just one deck of cards. It was 5 or 6, 7. Sometimes you'll just get up and grab another set of another deck of cards, because you just got drawn into you're like, I need to grab those cards right here, right now.
Every card deck.
And when that happens, Elaina, who is telling you to grab a deck of cards? Who's telling you that you need to get up and get another deck of cards for Jasmine because she needs to hear this?
Well, 2 things are happening. One, there's an inner feeling and inner knowing. That's my intuition that I'm tapping into. I can separate that. The other is my team. That's my spirit team. That's kind of like, so.
I would love to talk to you about your spirit team.
Sure.
Where do they come from? How often do they come through? Are they fun? Are they funny? Are they witty? Are they cranky? Are they sassy?
So
how many are there?
How many are there? love that. So before I even jump to this, I want to put this out there because I think there's so much information out there and I think there's so much pressure to know. So I want to take off the pressure, and I want to also take away and normalize that if you don't quite, if you are doing this work right now, or if you want to do this work and you're doing all this and you're not getting anything, relax. It's okay. Okay.
It'll come, right?
It'll come. And also, everyone's experience of understanding their relationship with their team is so different, and it's supposed to be. It's beautiful. It's supposed to be unique. It's not supposed to be like anyone else's. Okay. But I want to take a moment, kind of, yeah, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Well, I do have a question. Do they change? Do they rotate?
I love all these. Yeah.
Sorry, I want to know everything.
Yeah. So everyone has a master guide, okay? And this master guide has been with us prior to incarnation, right at the time of moment of birth, and into the very end of life. They are with us, the thread of life through, they're with us right now. We all, our master guide is always with us, and no, they are not our loved ones. So I want to just answer that. Okay, they are not our loved ones. So from all of this deep knowledge that I've tapped into with my meditations, through the books I've read, there's so much information. You have to decipher what you're connecting with, your truth. And every time I connect with this knowledge, it feels so clean and so right. So I'm going to just share with you that just because I'm saying this, please do your own research. Why not?
Right.
I mean, yes, I would love to say I'm right, but that who am I to say that? This is what I feel, right? So my master guide has explained to me that and this master guide, I'm going to call it kind of more of a male energy because that's the only way I can explain it. There's a male energy presence to him. And again, I'm going to say him because that's the only way I've seen him. Him and I had decided prior to this lifetime to bond as him being my guide and him walking me through this life. The purpose of this is your master guide has lived a similar life that you are going to live, and so is able to guide you through this lifetime. So they're your biggest cheerleader on the other side, your biggest, because they already ascend. They have deep compassion and a deep knowing. Then we have what's called like an angel kind of guardian, right? We all have this angel guardian. And then we have our ancestors that have lived before us. We are all very connected to. There's a lot of cycles and lineage stuff we're working through with them that we are kind of continuing this lineage experience with. And then there's our loved ones. Our loved ones have been here, that come in. They're still our cheerleaders. They're also doing their other work on the other side. They're also kind of coming in. They will assist us. They can do that. And so then we have additional guides that will come in. Now, I have a secondary guide that only comes in when I'm doing any sort of Reiki work, protection work with my home. I call upon this energy specifically for my family, for me, when I'm feeling like I'm about to go into a cleanse of a haunted home. I call this energy in because there is no joke like this. I feel the presence of this energy, and it's so powerful and strong. And so, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's one.
Yeah.
So, and we'll have additional guides that come in specifically for during specific times. Maybe it's the time of you launching your business. Maybe like you need that additional support coming in. Maybe you need this guide is coming to help you create focus. There's different little bits of elements that come in, of different guides come in at different times.
So how does it feel to get all these like these downloads, right? These divine messages from all these different guides that you have? How do you decipher which message,
follow
to share with your clients? So if you guys don't know, Elaina practices, or you do Reiki in Benicia. And tell us a little bit about your business first, and then we'll dive into how you get all these downloads and divine messages to help clients.
So so I do intuitive mediumship readings. And what I mean is the intuition is me tapping into my deep intuition, and the mediumship happens where, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm able to connect to those who've crossed over on the other side. I'm also connecting to your team, and my team is kind of a telephone system. So I can never and will never do really a reading ever on anyone unless they have personally signed up to do a reading for me. It's my ethics, right? The
Right.
second thing is I do coaching. I do intuitive coaching.
Okay.
Some people want to dive deeper on a topic. I do classes, and I am a Reiki master, so I do energy work. So yeah, that's what I do in
I
a
have to tell
nutshell.
you, and I know we got cut off earlier, but like I said, I started with you 7 years ago, and every freaking time you have gotten more intuitive and more like I just feel so much clearer every time I meet with you. And so um these divine messages that you get, and I think, I know that you act as a bridge for the other side as well, and you have helped me with my late husband kind of share the messages he had for me too. And so when did you start getting the mediums, like how did you start hearing from the other side and sharing that with people? Like how did that even come about?
Yes.
Like,
So what a great question. The the experience that happened, it's an actually unfortunate experience. So I know Christy's with me right now. Um, I had a best friend named Christy, that I grew up with. We were cheerleaders together.
mhm,
Her brother, my sister dated, loved family, loved her family. She unfortunately, I went to the military at 17. I was 18 years old at the time, and I got a phone call that Chrissy had died in a car accident. And oh, it's horrible, and it still hits me. It still hits me hard. It's
grief
crazy.
never ends.
Never
It
ends.
never ends.
Yeah, grief.
Yeah.
It again, it hits right here, right?
Yeah.
So, um, the weirdest things started happening. Remember, I told you I kind of turned off that spiritual curiosity because I was,
Mhm.
late teens, going into my early 20s.
Yeah.
Um, I started having dreams. I was in a car with Christy. This lasted up to a year. I started having dreams where Christy and I were in, it wouldn't happen every single night, but it would happen a lot. I would be in a car with Christy, and she would just have conversations with me. And I was
Mhm.
having conversations with her, and she would say, I love you. And I'd say, I love you. And we just have these conversations. Sometimes we wouldn't even hear the
Right.
conversations. So those were my first, I would say, visitations that started happening.
Okay.
Um, and then they started just, I realized, okay, this is not going away. It's kind of
Yeah.
happening. And then
A lot.
yeah, after about a year, that went away. And then my dad passed away at 22 years old from cancer. And I started having the dreams again. I started having interesting dreams that would come up, and then that would go away. And then just again, like these things started happening. And so that was what I would call my safe visitations to get me prepared for the feeling of being able to be awake and to start feeling energy in real time. Does this make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's heavy, it's a lot, and it can
I
feel
know.
people who are maybe new to this, and I get it, it's a lot. So I would say that's actually when it started happening. But I would say what ended up happening was during the time I was getting deep into my card readings and learning all of it. My friend Joanne, who is no longer here, who was with me during this journey, she also died, unfortunately, of cancer. She was with me, and I had an experience with her that I cannot explain, that it's still to this day, it trips me out. She brought over a picture and said, I want you, I'm not going to show you the picture, Elaina, and I want you to be able to tell me what the picture looks like, who's in it, like what does it look like. And I was able to tell her, there's a one person, I think there's a car, I feel like there's someone with long hair. And she showed me the picture, and it was her old boyfriend leaning against his old car.
I just got chills.
I freaked out. I almost didn't know what to do with it. And
Yeah.
I think that that's where I was like, oh, this is too much. So I had to then realize whatever this is, I have to turn the faucet down and slowly allow myself to kind of go into it.
Mhm.
And through my readings, I had to kind of put that on the back burner and get comfortable with just reading someone's energy,
Right.
and then start from there. And it just develops.
I have to take a deep breath because like I feel like there's so much energy going
Yeah,
on. How do you, because you're doing readings every day, and you're obviously absorbing the other person's energy, and you're hearing from your ancestors, you're hearing from your spirit team. um how do you how do you cleanse yourself? Like, how do you handle all these different energies
yeah,
for you?
right.
Like, how does, just to get clarity for yourself,
Yeah, no, great.
because that's a lot that you're taking in,
Yeah,
right?
such
And
wonderful.
heavy too sometimes. It was, for me, just for me personally, when you were doing my readings, it got heavy many times.
Yeah,
So how do you cleanse yourself from that? Like, how do you then kind of control alt delete in time for your next client? You know what I mean? Or do you take only a certain amount of people every day?
yeah. So, such great questions, Jasmine. My gosh. When I first started and I was doing a lot of Reiki work and home cleanses, my husband will tell you, I would come home and I would literally lay in my bed and I would be out for 3 hours. I was having flu-like symptoms. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting sick. My husband's like, you're not getting sick. You go through sick all the
Oh.
time.
Mhm.
But I had to learn to attune to the energy, and I had to learn to start creating rituals. So if anyone's following and you are new to this practice, I don't care what it is, grounding your energy, meditation work, and cleansing yourself and like doing these rituals is key, key, key. It's so important. Honor and your
Can
energy.
you
It's huge.
share a basic ritual that we can do for grounding, and for, is it crystals or selenite or something that we can use to?
Yeah. So I love crystals. They are the most beautiful things in the world, and they were what I call enhancers. They open us up. They all have a different purpose. Some
Yeah.
enhance our work, some crack us open again, some do grounding work, and some cleanse us, right? So they are beautiful things that I definitely use
Mhm.
in my practice. But I want to share that if you don't have a crystal, you don't need a
Oh,
crystal. You don't
okay.
need a crystal,
Don't go to
okay?
the store and buy like $100 crystals,
Yes,
because
but
they could be pricey.
they are pricey, but please know, I do know that crystals are very important to also start working with eventually, because they are, they're important. I have these ones right now. This is all very grounding.
Mhm.
I know what they're going to do for me. So, but a quick thing that anyone can do, I do this with my clients, my coaching clients, I say 1 minute, 1 minute a day, 1 minute. I want you to close your eyes wherever you're at, put your feet on the ground, and I want you to close your eyes and take a deep belly breath in through your nose and out of your mouth, and just sit in the awareness of where you are at. Just sit, don't do anything yet. And just through your breath, I want you to imagine your solar plexus, this beautiful golden power light above your belly button, expand it through your belly, through your whole body. Let that yellow go through all your whole body. And then go to your feet and ground and anchor your energy into the earth. Anchor you in the earth.
Mhm.
That quick thing, just knowing that you're just doing that, quickly changes the energy. Now, if we want to use all the chakras and we want to open ourselves fully up, then we move that energy all the way to the crown and we go up into the light heavens above. So there's a connection above, a connection below, and the stream of energy is now we're fully connected. Do you feel that? You're fully connected. And in that, anything you do, any download you get, is coming from the highest light, love energy. There's no low energy there.
Can we
So
reach bliss in a minute? I mean, can we do that? Ground ourselves and then send the energy all the way up to the crown chakra to reach bliss in 1 minute?
100%, I know we
Yeah?
can.
Okay.
What right there, what happens is our mind wants to do what? Not believe.
Right.
It's like there's no way. I must do it for what, 10 minutes?
Yeah. I
Let's do
mean,
it for 20 minutes.
right.
But
Right. I always just thought, it takes a whole freaking day. You do it again the next day. You start from your, sacral chakra all the way up to your crown chakra, and you do it again, because we're always ever evolving.
right.
And I mean, if we can do that in a minute and just kind of clear our head and reach, bliss and all that, I'm all for it.
let me give you a perfect example of it.
Okay.
I do psychic, and in 1 hour, I do 15-minute, 15-minute, 15-minute. I have a 15-minute break. I go boom, 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 boom.
Uh-huh.
How do I transition in that energy? How do I transition? I have to trust. Energy is so quick. We can't even fathom it.
Right.
Energy is, we can't even put a description to it. Energy is pure. It can travel faster than our mind can understand. So all we have to have is the intention of connection. And if we have intention, the intention of a connection, that already establishes the grounding work. It already connects us to the heavens above. It already does that. It's our mind that believes we have to. The human mind, the human condition, the human stories have us all believe it must be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour.
Oh my gosh. Yes. How many times have we heard, okay, you need to actually sit there for 20 minutes to be able to have a successful meditation? I'm like, oh, good luck with that. I
Right,
could barely sit still for a
right,
minute.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm all ears. If there's a way that we can reach bliss and be able to
Mm-hmm.
find clarity,
If
that would be
if
amazing.
your
I
if
mean,
your
if
intent
there's
is sorry, if your intention is to connect, then that's all you need.
Mhm.
But if we're trying to reach bliss, what is bliss? What is it then? Then we ask further, what
Yeah.
is it that you want to feel? If you want to feel relaxed, then maybe we need to sit a little longer in it. If we want to reset our energy and that's all we need, boom, trust that we just reset our energy, If I call in protection, I believe that I've just called in protection. It's our intention.
Mhm.
It's all about our
It's all about
intention.
intention.
Mm.
Correct. Yeah. So what rituals do you personally do to
Yeah,
help maintain your spirituality and, make sure that you have a full cup when you're serving?
right. I think I really, in this mature stage of my practice, and especially as an entrepreneur, I think my energy, I'm in a state of understanding that I honor my energy now. So that's the first thing I acknowledge, because if I don't acknowledge that I honor my energy, then I will never take care of it.
Right.
That's the second thing I do is I create boundaries. I create a lot of boundaries around my schedule. I won't work weekends. I have flex days during the week. I have self-care days during the week. I hang out with my girlfriends. I have this human experience still. I do all the things. I get good sleep. I eat organically. I move my body every single day the best I
Mhm.
can. If I need to skip a day, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I really put all that stuff into practice. What I do for rituals is I work on my crystals. I love to listen to podcasts to elevate and get inspired. I love listening to all this stuff like you, people like you. Like, I love all of it. It's like, yes, inspiration. And I get this raise of energy and vibration. I'm like, yes,
Hmm.
to cleanse myself, I really will do deep cleansing. And then I'll go see acupuncturist. I will go
I
to a mentor.
love,
I will
yeah.
do somebody else. I do my work and I listen. When do I need the work? People ask me, when do I come back?
Hmm.
Listen to yourself first. You already know. You
Yeah.
already know.
That's amazing. So I know there's a lot of people that still have, I don't know, doubts about psychic reading and intuitive reading, Reiki, and all of that. So, for someone who's curious,
Mm-hmm.
about exploring their own intuitive like abilities or connecting or maybe even reaching out to you, what would be your advice for them to get started? Like, start small or jump right in?
Yeah.
Start
Well,
slow, dip your toes
yeah.
in, or what?
Um, well, the first thing is, there's not a specific path I think everyone's supposed to take, right?
Mhm.
I think that everyone is supposed to take a different path of their own journey. I think if someone's curious about, their, I've heard people, I've always been drawn
Yeah.
to this. Great, curious. What are
Yeah.
you excited? I always ask people because they already know. What are you excited about? Like, oh, well, not terrible. Oh, oracle cards. I love. Okay, perfect. Oracle cards. Go look at oracle cards.
Mhm.
It will tell you. Go to a place where you can touch the oracle cards or go online and research
Yeah.
YouTube videos. Oh, by the way, that's a great thing. Go on YouTube and type in oracle card reviews, and people will unbox them and show you the cards and go through each one. Feel the energy.
Yeah.
Does it feel like? Get curious. Go to Barnes and Noble and go to the metaphysical section. Oh, I love that. Just sit there, pay attention to what you're focusing on. It will connect you. Grab a book, read it, feel it.
Yeah.
Why do you like it? I always tell people, especially business owners that come to me, they're like, well, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, what are you watching on YouTube? Well, I'm watching this, this, and this. All right, cool. Why are you watching that? Pay attention, because those components of those videos are already telling you something that you already desire within yourself. It's already giving you the message. It's all a mirror. So when you go to Barnes & Noble, pay attention to that. What books are you drawn to? When you go to a place where they're selling cards, what cards are you drawn to? Why? What about that artwork? What about that author? Read about it. Get curious. Start pulling a card a day. Journal on it.
Yeah. What about people who already have that intuitive, like, energy, like they feel things, they hear things, they sense things, but are afraid to crack it open? I mean, they know they have that talent, but for some reason, who knows, maybe religious reasons or whatever, they are afraid to crack it open or even dip their toes in.
Right.
What would you tell them? Would you tell them, I mean, obviously they have to work on their own time, but if they have this gift, what would you tell them?
So,
like,
if they have this gift and they want to use it, but they're afraid, work. What are you afraid of? Because that's what happened to me.
Right.
I had to cross those waters. I had to ask myself, because early on, I was afraid to be seen. I was afraid to be accepted with this gift. I was afraid of a lot of different things, but that was the work. I had to get through it.
You have to get through it. You have to work through it. Right.
Because it really wasn't, by the way, about being seen or being accepted. There was a deeper healing in that. I had to go through some childhood stuff. And
it takes time, right?
It does take time, but it also can take not as much time as we think. It depends on what we're willing to work through. Yeah. Because if there's no completion or perfecting a healing thing that we have to heal, there's no timeline.
There is no timeline.
A year from now, 3 years from now, we're always evolving. And so I say, if you're out there, you want to do this work, there's no better thing in the world than, first and foremost, trust yourself, hear your calling, dive into it, do the work.
Just be open to receiving the downloads, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Nobody's going to hurt you.
You don't even know that your journey also of trusting your path has such a deeper meaning, because that might be who you're attracting as far as your clientele.
Period. Yeah. So what advice would you give someone prepare? So you do intuitive readings via Zoom as well? Okay. So, and then you have them in person at your store or at your studio. What advice would you give someone who is preparing for a session for their very first time? They call you and they're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm afraid. I've been told not to do this. I don't know why. Again, maybe religious reasons, but I don't want to hear certain things. Like if they come up and tell you, I don't want to know certain things, but still want to come see you, like what kind of advice would you give them? Like,
I get this all the time. And so the first thing I always tell people is, there's a reason you felt called to work with me. That's the first thing I remind them. Okay. The second thing I remind everybody that I do a lot of personal work and a lot of protection around myself and my work and my clients. And so I never, ever, ever dive into dark energy. I don't do any of that stuff. I've worked with people that have very strong religious beliefs, and if I've had people consult me and they're calling me, they're consulting, they're like, I'm very religious, I don't know, and I'm like, that's okay. Maybe they just need that quick phone call just to talk about they didn't even need the reading. But I want everyone to know I work with the highest light, love, energy, and what comes through is just pure love. I kind of, my guides and their guides already know what's off the table, and there are things that are off the table. I do not discuss death in the way where people are like, can you tap in as their
right? Because I hear that all the time. They're like, I don't want to know about death. I don't want to hear anything, any bad news, or I don't want to. So everything that you do is positive light, healing.
Yeah. My goal, my intention, again, my intention is to help everyone come back to their alignments. And the alignment is that no matter where we're at in life, we all have our center point. Every single one of us have a center point, and that's our home. That's our deepest, purest connection to God's source, universal energy, right? That's our center. So when we go off to the left, look at that. Oh, what is happening?
What?
Oh,
what did you do?
I don't even know, but that's amazing. That was fun. Wow. I think there's like this like thing. I think there's like a thing where
Why did it do that for me?
know.
How crazy.
I love that so much.
What did you do? Do you remember what you did?
I don't know. That was, I mean, I don't even know what this
I don't either. I mean, they're always changing things, but maybe that was a spirit guide, my spirit guide saying, girl, some great things about to happen.
It's so fun. But yeah, so if we go off to the left and we're like, you know, focus, and we're off balance here, or we're struggling, you know, through a divorce, or we just lost someone, my goal is to take whatever it is you're going through a cold read. I do cold readings. I don't really want to know anything. And I let spirit show us what the message is for you. And the whole intention and purpose is to get you back to your center, to help you recognize that all is going to be well. You're going to understand your path. You're going to understand your way. And like through the messages, it helps kind of create, like, it's interesting. It's like a blend of intuition, but a little blend of coaching. It's so interesting. I can't even describe how it works, but
I'm all for this. I love everything about everything that you're doing. I love. So tell us, okay, do you have any classes coming up? Any women's circles coming up? Any, you know, I know that you do intuitive readings every day, and you do Reiki practices every day, but any special classes that we can sign up for, or women's circles, things like that?
yeah, I'm so excited. The timing is so perfect. I haven't even announced it to my community yet, so this will be
no, so maybe we shouldn't, or maybe we should.
Oh, this is it. This is called Total Trust, right? I am about to launch a free 10
free.
Yep. And I want to give back to the community. I also want to, so there's a lot there. So it's a 10-week series, and you can come to each class. One class is all online, and I have 10 topics already created. Yeah, they're like elevated, kind of like this elevated like love, kind of like basically taking your energy and helping you elevate to your highest self through different topics.
God, sign me up, please. Yes. Sign me up. When is it?
It's gonna be, I think it starts, gosh, it's the first, I think it's July. Oh my gosh, I don't have my notes right with me. I apologize.
That's okay. So I know you'll text me and let me know.
This month, and I believe the first class is July 22nd. It's always gonna be on a Monday, and you know it's gonna be at at the night time, so people can kind of at work, come home.
Yes.
And basically, these classes are anything from, you know, who's your team, surrendering, meditate, really understanding meditation, like really understanding what to surrender means, like all these very basic topics.
My love language. You're speaking my love language.
Yeah, it's you know, people are like, well, I've already learned that. Well, I always tell people it doesn't matter if we come back to those topics, because every time we learn something new about it, we hear it differently. And so this is for advanced students and for beginners, for somebody who's curious. I want to just explore it with people. And there's going to be a Q&A. We're going to do a 1-minute meditation in each of these classes. And They are going to be recorded for later purposes. There's a bigger thing coming up down the road.
Of course.
So,
Of course. I'm so excited.
So,
I see it in your face.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear.
It makes me smile.
I know you're doing great work. So looking back on your journey, what would you say, how have you evolved personally and professionally? I swear I'm not going to ask you any more questions, but I do have a couple of mindset questions after this.
Yes, another question. So, how I've elevated, looking back at the old self, I went from a place of looking out in comparison, like, what are they doing? Oh my God, maybe I'm not there yet. It's like, and really early on, you know, when I started this journey, not many people were doing readings. And so I had to like work through, like, again, like I said, being seen and through the acceptance of like saying this is actually what I love to do and this is my passion and I had to shout it out to the world. That was scary. Oh my God. But and taking that leap of faith and then trusting the whole experience. And where I am now is just staying in my own lane. Staying in my own lane and honoring that where anyone else is at is really not my business.
It's not your business.
And it's, don't get me wrong.
How freeing is that, right? How freeing has it been for me too? Like I used to care about, oh my gosh, because I own businesses. I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this because I want to make sure that they don't think this about me. But like, why should I care?
Right. And
I mean, I do care in a sense, but like being free and just repeating what you just said, it's like, it feels really good.
You know what's really cool about staying in your own lane is in that creates the ripple effect of I trust my timeline. I trust that the slow and steady is where it's at. I trust that if I have a delay of any sort or the pause, there is a purpose to that. Maybe during that time I had to learn how to love myself more. Maybe during that time I was going to get some new information about how to make my business better. Maybe I needed to take time to heal. Maybe I needed to slow down to balance my life out. So to really understand that staying in my lane means that I trust my journey and my timeline. And the truth is, the intention from the very, very beginning, across the board, that's never changed, is I'm not here to grow my business fast. I want to grow it authentically and organically. And I want to continue to call in the audience for me and the people that I want to work with through the evolving of my own self. I'm not here to have it perfect anymore. I don't want it to be perfect. I want to, again, how awesome that it happened how it did today, because that is the basis of where I'm at. Messy is fun. It's authentic. It's great. And I love it because the more authentic I am and I sit in that messiness or that it's not perfect.
Attract the right people.
Yeah. I also changed my services, the work I want now. All the stuff is really coming from my heart center now, like the love that I want to work with. I want to help people to love themselves. That's where I'm going to. I haven't really, this has been a huge evolvement that I've been, it's coming from Shasta. I just went to Shasta and I really understand now more than ever. I want to work on helping people to love themselves. I really want to help people love their life. And the only way you can love your life is through truly loving yourself.
Yeah. And making yourself a priority. It seems like we hear this all the time, but it's like the act of doing it is so much harder than we think. But it's where it starts.
It's where it starts. And if you love yourself, what's in that? Intuition.
Trust.
Boundaries. All the beautiful things that are coming up. And so that's where I'm going. So that's where I think, I'm definitely evolving to through my business.
I love it. I mean, so speaking of business, you've been in business for how long?
So overall, I would say, the overall experience, about 15 years of readings and all that kind of in my house on the download. The true evolving of the true business, I'd probably say since 2017, 2018 is when I really went live.
Yeah.
And so
I remember.
Oh God. And so
I've been there for your whole journey almost. It means as
yeah,
soon as I met you, it's like you've just flourished, and you've been helping the community, and you've been giving back, and you're just so generous with your time and your energy. And for me, that speaks volume, you know. And I know you mentioned you're not there for success, and that goes to show what kind of person you are. But like, how so entrepreneurship is not easy.
yeah, it's not easy at all. No, for sure.
So how do you, like, you have kids, you're a wife, you're a mom. How do you do it all? You
Yeah,
know, because you're seeing clients every day, you're working, entrepreneurship, it's very difficult. So how do you balance that work life?
yeah,
How does Elaina do it?
yeah. So some I have crazy days for sure. As zen as it may feel at times, there are crazy times. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, right? I mean, it's just crazy. Um, I think the way I do it is, again, I go back to one of the, you asked me just a second ago, like, how have you evolved? One of the mature parts of my business is really understanding my schedule. In the past, I used to think I had to go, go, go. But now my biggest intention now is balance. And so I want to be that mom. I want to be that wife. I want to be that friend. I want to be and people are like, well, you can't have it all. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I think that we can have it all. The question is what
Man.
is your all like? Yeah. And so there's gonna be times where I may not be able to hang out with my friends as much or my husband or because things are always an ebb and flow of life. And so I'm always trying to just manage my schedule. I check in with my month ahead. That's why I only post my schedule a month ahead because
Right.
I really want to be connected to, does this feel right? I don't want to
Mhm.
just put a ton of times out there. I want to say, does this feel right for me?
Right.
And because if I feel good, then I'm going to show up to be the best reader for my clients,
Right.
right? And so there are crazy days, and I have moments where I just want to pull my hair out. I have moments where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. But in those moments, I also go, huh, but I am doing it.
Yeah.
It is worth it is all going to be figured out. And it always is. And so it kind of creates this thing of like, I don't need to stress. It will all work
And
out, you
trust the
know?
universe, right? Trust your intuition, trust the
Yeah,
process. I love it.
yeah.
What's one last thing? I mean, we've gone over an hour
Oh, that
now. I know. You're just amazing. What's one thing that you can share with us and our audience about your work? That I mean, I don't know. I guess we want to know your link to your next class, or that new program that you have going on, the 10-week
yeah.
program.
So
Um,
yeah, so just kind of like the information about like my business. Yeah. So anyone can reach me on my website. And so my website is elainak.com. It's ELAINAK.com. And from there it houses all my services and all my stuff. But I'm always on Instagram. Is it called your handle? It's
yeah,
Coach Elaina K. I do lives, I do reels, I'm on
yeah. You're
TikTok.
on TikTok,
I love
girl.
TikTok. Oh my
How do
God, I
you
love TikTok.
keep track of all the different social media platforms that are out there right now?
I
So much
love it. I don't know.
work.
It's creative. It's my creative juices, and so I love it. And it's like fun to see. Like I want to give back. I always want to try to give like a free reading or guidance or inspiration for somebody else because I also receive that from others, and so it's a give and take thing. But I love it. So I'm on Instagram, on TikTok, YouTube. That's been a whole other journey, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So if you ever want
I
to,
see an Elaina K channel. I would
I
hit subscribe.
gosh, it's like, but yeah, you can go on my website and that's how you can access me. And I always tell people, always, if they ever want to just talk and just kind of get a feel of my personal energy and they have a question, I'm always for that. I never want a client to ever just book if they're not sure. I want them to feel comfortable enough to say, hey, can we have a chat? Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that I could talk to you all day, all night, but I know we all have to go make dinner and all of that.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you so much, and I'm going to be scheduling that 10-week program with you.
Oh, yeah.
And a reading very soon. I feel like it's
Yeah.
time.
I'm excited. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for this. And again, for what you're doing, it's bigger than you think. It's so, I just want to say that to you. You followed your heart, and that will always lead you through
My
everything.
my purpose has always been to empower women and uplift women, and if I can do it in any kind of way, I'm going to be doing it. And I'm just glad that you're on. I know that a lot of people would appreciate listening to the IG to our video today, because a lot of people that I know are curious and would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. So appreciate it.
I
So
know, I
appreciate
love you so much.
it. Thank you,
Take
Jasmine.
care, babe.
All right.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.